All right, welcome back to the program. 8 minutes after 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And that guy often referred to as the fifth Beatle, Billy Preston, because he played with the Beatles. Yeah, he actually did.
Did he sing with them? There was a fifth Beatle.
Yeah, well, that's been used actually to describe a couple of different people.
No, but legit, there was another Beatle.
Okay.
That didn't make it.
Oh, all right.
Band.
And he was the drummer, right? And then Ringo.
Oh, okay. So there wasn't a fifth. He was just replaced.
Yeah, he was replaced.
I have my Beatle history wrong.
Yeah, you know, the Beatles were such a long time ago. But I'll tell you what, Billy Preston had probably the biggest afro that I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. You don't remember Billy Preston had this huge fro. And
you've seen him in person then?
Well, no. I mean, I remember his music back in the 70s when he was real popular.
When I pick mine out, it's big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had to do it once for a job, and it was beautiful.
So did you have a big fro at one time? Did you
oh my God, yes. When I was a little girl, and I had this my mom made me my clothes, and I had this little outfit. It was like Chiquita Banana-ish, like with the flared pants.
Yep.
I loved that outfit.
So did you have the pick in your hair and all that?
Because
no, that was hot back in the 70s.
Yeah, but for kids, no, because kids lose stuff.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but no, I had.
You're not going to lose it in that hair.
I had a beautiful afro with beautiful little earrings. Oh, God.
I had this girl, Michelle, that sat in front of me in homeroom at New Bedford High School. It had to be about 1975, 76.
And you couldn't
I couldn't see the board. The fro was too big. It was like, Michelle, please, you got to tame that thing. You know?
I'm like, when I take it out, it gets big. Especially, oh, Lord, if it's like a drizzly day.
Uh-huh.
No, you will. This whole room will be filled.
Dana Rebeiro, Ward 4 City Councillor, and boy, what have you been up to lately, huh?
Well, you know, just trying to help people out in my ward, having little issues with one place where seniors live, but we're going to work on that because they deserve better.
All right. People are still talking about the rally last week.
No, really?
Absolutely.
Well, you're right. I do get calls because you weren't there, but I did invite you. But Miss Perman Hardy, who spoke, was amazing. And
I wouldn't have known because I wasn't allowed to get in. Well, she spoke at the rally afterwards.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I wasn't there. You're right.
She spoke, and as did Marcy, who talked about her sister Millie.
Mm-hmm.
Millie was one of the first black. I want to get the religion right. I think it's Episcopalian. And so she went down to Birmingham to a school to study that. And her was really close friends with this white girl who talked about how her uncle was a Klan member and he was very violent towards black people, and came to her one day and was like, I need your help. You need to hide me. And Millie was like, why? And she said, my uncle bombed a church in Birmingham and killed 4 little girls. And she was going to testify against him. She was a star witness. So obviously, you know, the Klan was looking for her. And Millie from New Bedford hid her in her room and would go down to the cafeteria and bring extra food up, and they'd follow the news, and she testified against him.
So she hid her out here in New Bedford?
No, in her room at the school.
Yeah. Okay, all right, gotcha.
Yeah, Millie was down there going to school.
Okay.
And came back and never told anyone. Marcy had no idea. And then one day a box comes with all these books, and she's like, oh, she finally wrote this book. And Marcy, you know, asked her about it, and she told her. Marcy said, why didn't you ever tell us this? And she said, there's lots of things I've done that I've never told you. And it kind of was sort of the theme that, you know, women in New Bedford do amazing things in the city and out of the city. And so many, I mean, I would have never have known that had Marcy and I not just been chatting one day, you know? And that's a story that deserves to be told, and people need to be made aware. And it was both times, and, you know, people were crying. And it fit in because the prosecutor on that case was Doug Jones. And Miss Perman Hardy worked very hard in what's called the Black Belt, getting out the vote. And she gets threatened to this day from the Klan and constantly has to be very careful about her safety. But she won't stop and she won't quit. And she had everybody feeling like, from this moment on, I will do more and I will change the world. And she made me appreciate my city so much more. She was saying that in her city, the mayor and the city council, they can't even be in the same room. And she was amazed that, you know, that the mayor was there, that the chief was there. She was amazed that, you know, the officers that were there were so happy to be there. And I mean, she said, just amazed at the amount of integration we have and the respect with which white people and black people talk to one another. And she said you can feel the love. Actually, she said the air smelled different here. Like she said you could feel the love. She was like, you know, when your mayor hugged me, when your chief hugged me, I felt that they were really sincere about welcoming me.
So what's so unfortunate about all of this is, though, none of this is being talked about for a whole week. All this
Oh, yes, it is. It's been in the newspaper. It's been online. It's definitely been talked about. Absolutely.
Well, what I'm hearing about and what we're talking about here, and we're still talking about it earlier today with Beth David, the publisher over at Fairhaven Neighborhood News, and callers still calling in, is the fact that male reporters are not allowed to go into the
Women's Forum. Yeah, but I mean, the highlight of it has been really the talk of the city, and everywhere I go, young women have been, and young men and old women have been coming up saying how much they got out of hearing Miss Perman Hardy, and how grateful they were that we brought her up here, you know. And she's a star. I told her, move up here and run for mayor.
So your decision about
it was the organizers' decision, yeah, and I am one of the organizers.
Yeah, so you're one of the organizers. Do you at this point, a week later, do you regret the decision to?
No, that room was a healing circle, and it was amazing what went on in that room and the discussions we had, and the sisterhood, when we were like, okay, we're gonna go march, and we looked out, and there were women out there and there were men out there with signs, like we were just like. But
you discriminated against somebody else. Somebody else's right to do their job. You block somebody based on sexual discrimination.
You know what? We
there were two men who were discriminated against.
That there was enough time given to make allowances, and you know, it
doesn't matter. That's against the law.
Well, then arrest me.
Well, I don't have that authority to, but I did on the internet say that you should apologize for that, because that's against the law.
Listen, it was we needed that healing circle. That's what needed to happen. And I needed people in there. Women.
Then you should have said no press allowed.
No, women press, absolutely. Women have a certain understanding with certain topics about when to listen, when not to record.
But you don't have the authority.
Taylor has made comments.
You don't have the right to do that.
Taylor has made comments that make women uncomfortable. Like, for example, when he read that letter maybe a couple of years ago, that Bill Cosby wrote, you know, that famous letter he wrote before he kind of got found out about African Americans like pulling up their pants and not naming their kids African names. And someone had called in and said to Taylor, how can you read that? That guy's a sexual predator. And Taylor was like, I've never heard that. And that only comes up when this letter comes up. And someone else called and said, I don't believe that Bill Cosby did that because he's rich and famous and he doesn't have to rape people. Right, and Taylor agreed with him. He agreed with him.
None of that is
relevant. No, it is relevant, because someone that says that I don't believe a rich and famous man is capable of rape, I don't think is capable of being in a room and really listening and reporting. He has he has some issues. And that room was about healing.
This was designed to target Taylor.
No, oh please, no.
Well, I mean, you're focusing it to a Taylor. A male from the Standard Times was
brought him up.
I said two reporters. There was Taylor Cormier, and there was a gentleman from the Standard Times who said he was denied access.
And this is the other thing. He actually approached me. Taylor just kind of came into the room. Two women were like, "There's some creepy guy walking around with a camera."
Well, they checked him in.
No.
Yeah, he signed in. I saw it on the video. He signed in. The women all knew him. Oh, we love your show, and that, you know, and all this. And
yeah, those women did, but every other reporter came and said, "Hey, where are the organizers?" Because they were like, "Where should we stand? Is there a place where you want us?" And the gentleman from the Standard Times, he totally understood. We had spoken before. He said, "Hey, listen, is it still the same?" I said, "Yep." He said, "Okay, where can I be and where can I go to get the rest of it?" And I told him, and he was like, "Have a great time in there." And I said, "We will. Thank you for supporting."
So he was willing to bargain away his rights. Taylor wasn't. And I told Taylor I would have stayed there till I would have. If it were me, I would have said, "Call the cops and have me removed."
Oh, I would have let you stay. You are an honorary woman.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that, but you don't get that this is
nope
discrimination based on.
I don't.
You don't get that at all.
Nope.
So what if I didn't let you into an event because you're a woman, or because
you're
and you have male coming in?
If you said it was an all-male thing and we're trying to get some stuff together, I would be like, "Cool, get it together. Let me know when you need help."
Right. So you, as a woman of color, would not care if I said, you know, Sorry, you can't come in. All of these people can come in, but you can't come in.
I don't. You know what? You're stretching it. It's two different points, and I know you're smart enough to know the difference.
Dana, I'm talking about the law. I've been doing this business for 41 years.
Well, I couldn't have broken it because I'm not arrested yet.
And well, nobody pressed charges against you or filed a complaint. Nobody's filed a complaint.
Feel free.
But it is the law. Discrimination by sex, religion, whatever. You can't do that. And you chose to. And you're still defending that.
It was a great day. I don't regret it. The whole day was really fabulous. And I'd like to focus on what was the most fabulous, which was the message of Perman Hardy.
Yeah, but see, Taylor would like to focus, too, on the fact that he was denied access to do his job. You issued a press release saying the press was invited. You can't say this press and that press based on whether or not you got a penis. I mean, that's illegal. You can't do that.
He absolutely could have covered the rest. Absolutely. And he could have gotten that message. He said he had other stuff to do that day.
That's right. So he was there to cover something that the press was invited to.
And we asked that you bring women in, and we explained that there would be sensitive.
We don't have a woman here. We don't have a woman news reporter.
Well, and that's part of the lesson, because you know what the First Lady of New Bedford Anne talked about was that with change, there's discomfort. It's not supposed to be comfortable. So I know that was uncomfortable for you guys, but hopefully you got something out of it.
Well, what? What did we get out of it? Except that we've been discriminated against because we have a male reporter.
You don't say, hopefully what you got out of it is that you need to do better with getting female reporters or giving women the opportunity to go and report.
Many women work in this building. You are in this building all the time. You see the women. There are more than twice as many women here than there are men.
So why couldn't one of the female reporters come?
We don't have a female reporter.
Well, there you go.
We don't have a female.
So
you're suggesting that we set quotas on who we hire in our news department?
That's an area where you can do better.
We have had many women that have worked in the news department.
So that's an area now that you can do better, because you should have a woman. Absolutely.
Well, so what are we going to go to Kmart and pick one off the shelf? If nobody applies for a job and the job is open.
Well, actually, you know what? That's an interesting point, because sort of juxtaposing it, I remember when Pia Durkin first came on school committee, and as a superintendent, I said, we need more black male teachers. And she said, what do I do? The applications are there, they're not coming. And I said, well, why don't you do job fairs at HBCUs, historical black colleges and universities? I went to Howard University. But you're suggesting quotas, that we go out and we hire people just based on their color. Isn't that what Dr. King talked about? We don't hire because of... It's not a quota. It's about diversity. We don't choose people based on the color of their skin or their sexual... So you're saying that if you hired a woman, she wouldn't be as qualified as you? No, I just told you. We've had many women in the news department here. So what I'm saying is
Lynn Poyon, who I'm sure you know, ran this news department for years.
Diversity, and it's about wanting different opinions. Like, you have all these guys, I'm sure, wouldn't you want another opinion? It's so important to get different eyes. If we had a woman apply for the job at the time that we were hiring, it might have been different. Make the extra step. Just make. Well, how do you know that we didn't make the extra step? How do you know that? You're making assumptions. Because you just said, "What do I do? Go to Kmart." You didn't say. Well, look, listen, I don't do the hiring here. I have done hiring over the course of my career in this business. Then maybe I've been a news director. I've had women and I've had men. That implies that you don't know how to reach out to women. That's what that implies. No, that's not what that implies at all. You're suggesting that we have quotas based on. I'm not suggesting that. I did not say that. You're putting words into my mouth, and you can take them right on out with you. Yeah. But what I am saying is that you need sometimes to make an extra step, especially if it's in an area that has been, like you said, there's mostly men here. So maybe you should open it up to job fairs. We have twice as many women in the building as we have men. Or maybe I can facilitate a discussion with whoever does the hiring, with someone from the Women's Fund, and say, hey, how can we get women interested? How can we get them knocking on the door? Because I think it's better for your listenership, too. I think that's a good question, and I think that's something that women should, if they're interested, drop off an application. And next time there's a position open, they certainly will be considered. But you can't say, well, we're going to put the guys over here, and we're going to just grab a woman because she's a woman. I didn't say that. And you can't say that I said that. But that's what you're implying, though. No, I'm not. That's what you're hearing. All right, we got a lot of folks that want to talk about this. 508-996-0500. Let's get to the phones. You're first on WBSM with Barry and Dana. Go ahead. Hello, you're on the air. All right, you're next on WBSM. Go ahead. Barry, what are you doing? I don't know. What's up? I'm not touching these boards, ladies and gentlemen. This is all Barry. I am going to be on touching them soon. Hold on. Somebody's got to be there. 508-996-0500. Thank you. Tim is coming in to save us. Is
Tim? No, everything seems right. Yeah, everything's cool. All right, well, let me do the next one. You're next on WBSM. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
I can't.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, now we hear somebody. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Okay, so I've been listening to your discussion, and I am one of the women who was at the forum, and I just want to say that I did appreciate, my name is Pam Lowell, and I live in Berkeley, and I really appreciated that there weren't any men reporters in the room, and I'll tell you why, because some of the topics that we talked about were women sensitive, and it was much more empowering to have female reporters, and actually all women at representing a women's forum.
But don't you understand that you
and
can't
so
do that?
Whether it was illegal or whether it was discrimination, I think women and women of color have been discriminated against.
So
for their
that gives you
entire lives.
the
So
right to discriminate against somebody else because you feel as though you've been
we
discriminated
wanna push
against.
back on that narrative a little bit, and we want to write our own story.
All right, well, you know
And
what?
that
Write your own story, but close it to the press. Rather than say the press is invited except for that press, and that press. I got to hold you there because your phone is in horrible shape.
It was,
so.
I mean, everything except for the really personal stuff was reiterated. Again, Ms. Perman's testimony, Marcy's, and people that even weren't at that on the library steps,
Still
which was
doesn't matter.
open for hundreds of people.
It's irrelevant.
Well, you're not the boss of me, Barry.
Well, you know, it's not whether I'm your boss or not. It's the law. If you don't like the law, change the law, right?
Or break it.
I mean, the law says the law.
Laws,
Or
laws,
break it.
laws are
Okay,
laws.
so you broke it. You're 508-996-0500.
That's why Tim Weisberg calls me a rabble rouser, right, Tim?
Well, isn't
You're
that
next.
what the Democrats do? They break the law and get away with it.
I don't know. Is this a Democrat issue? Was this a Democrat issue?
I didn't check
Yeah, it
people's
was. They
voting
discriminated.
cards if they were
talked down
Republicans
and
or
carried
not.
Signs against President Trump. I mean, come on. This is left-wing loons. They had 150 women out of the whole city of New Bedford. You had an illegal a gathering at a public place.
Parade
You
permit.
can't do that, and you can't go around breaking the law. And you can't tell a radio station who to hire and who not to hire. You don't have the right, and it's wrong. So you know what? You broke the law. You should be punished. The ACLU should look at you, but the problem is they won't because it's always one-sided. And if you don't want the men to be there, or you want just a women's forum, then don't call up WBSM saying, "Oh, you want to get the press release out there so you can get people to go."
All right, what do you say? Thanks,
Nothing.
caller.
Thanks for calling. I hope
All
you have a
right.
great day.
You're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Yes, Dana, I got a couple of questions. Were you the sole organizer of this march?
No, I worked with Ruth Chica, who was on the air with Brian the Saturday before, and Beth Santos Fatu.
Mm-hmm. And this was in a public building, am I right? And nobody's allowed in a public building? You're stopping people from attending?
We rented the room. We rented a room for the event. Yeah.
Okay, and who paid for that?
We did with money we raised. Donations. We got donations from Mayor Lang. We got donations from the women.
Mayor Lang and
Mrs. Lang. And Mrs. Lang.
And this is on the what name was the organization?
Massachusetts Southeastern. It was a collective because there was like 5 or 6 different organizations.
Yeah, the folks at BCC told me that they didn't know that this was going to be an event that excluded men from attending.
You've got no qualms with the civil liberties getting involved with this then, right?
No.
You don't. And I think this is like borderline discrimination, and I think you should resign from the councilor's position in New Bedford. And I would think WBSM
What does that have to do with
you
that's
from
like
operating out of that radio station.
Really? Should I be tarred and feathered too? Thank you.
All right, thanks for your call. 508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM.
Hi, is that me?
That's you.
Hi.
Hi. I attended and I wanted to thank Dana. I thought the forum was fantastic. I thought it was totally appropriate for it to be all women because the fact is white males are not the ones who have faced discrimination or oppression.
Yeah, but we're talking
know
about a
you
white
like
male
to
that was
say
discriminated against. Taylor
but I
Cormier
think
was a
you're
white
just
male. He was
turning it.
discriminated against on
Excuse me.
Saturday.
Could I finish my point?
Well, when I say you
I'd like
can,
to
okay?
finish my
Oh
point.
my God, Barry! No,
Well, I
no,
you know,
sister,
hello.
I got your back. We're not
Hello,
gonna-
hello. I mean, this is a conversation goes two ways. I'm responding to what you're
I
saying.
know, but I didn't even get a chance to finish.
Didn't get to the meat.
Let me finish,
Go
and
ahead.
then you speak. We take turns, right?
Go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay. The other thing is that I think this whole line of questioning is just a way of discrediting this march. It's very similar to what people said after the march around the country and the world last year.
Wow.
People were saying that people were rowdy or violent.
All right, you know what? That has absolutely nothing, and I'll give you a chance to have a last word on this, but that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're not talking about the march. We're talking about an event that was held at a public school, which the college has now denounced the fact that male reporters were not permitted to go in. We're talking about discrimination based on gender at this event that was open to the press. We're not talking about what was stated in this meeting, and we're not talking about what happened at the
I'm
march.
talking about that.
One has nothing to do with the other. Yeah, but sure,
Sure
you
they
want
do.
you want to try to.
I want the positive, great message of Perman Hardy to get out because I'm still flying high from that message,
Right,
and I want to share it with
we
you.
want to address this. We want to address
you need
sexual
it, Barry.
discrimination.
You need that. You
Well,
need
we
the
want
love.
we want to address sexual discrimination, which you are okay with.
Well, if you really wanted to address sexual discrimination, well, then why don't you talk about issues that affect women disproportionately bad?
Well,
Why don't you
like
talk
what? Give me an
about
example.
How much they get per dollar that men get for
Okay.
the same jobs?
All
Why
right.
don't you talk about the Me Too movement?
All of these issues we talk, ma'am. All of these issues we talk about all the time.
I've never talked about those here.
A red herring.
We know we talk about these issues constantly. When have you not heard me talk about
Talk
these
about
issues?
days when I'm here.
You've never heard me talk about. I tried to
don't
get
talk
you
about
last
it
week
with
to
you.
talk about a number of these issues related to women, and you didn't want to talk about them. I mean, the fact that women have gotten pay raises over the course of the last year. Women are getting more jobs because.
But women are not making the same dollar amount as men. So white women.
We'll talk to
make
Hillary
70%.
Clinton and Liz Warren, who pay their women less than they pay their men. I mean, these are women. These are women on your your team.
You cannot be that myopic. You cannot. Is there another call?
Because they're women that you happen to like,
Try
right?
to make it work this time, Barry.
508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM.
Oh, hi, Dana and Barry. How are you today?
How are you?
Not too bad. Last week and I'll reiterate that I supported the idea of you guys having.
I remember you.
meeting.
I remember your voice.
I think that if you have a meeting like this in a public place that you rented, and that's fine. If you don't want to get your message out, that's fine too. But if you call out the press to get your message out, and then you purposely do not want male, or you call out gender specific discrimination where you don't want certain people to cover. I don't understand quite how you. And I'm trying to understand you at all because I really don't quite understand what you're trying to get sometimes. If a female went to a Patriots locker room as a reporter and wanted to cover a story for after a game, that would be discrimination against that reporter, and if they were not allowed to go in. And I don't quite understand why you feel that you're willing to break the law on something that was settled a long time ago for the benefit of women and men, and you're willing to break the law as a councilman and an elected representative, not just as a citizen.
So let me explain and see, Barry, how that worked, how I didn't interrupt him. So the message was received because the two main speakers also spoke at the library, which had an audience there, which was outside the library. So everyone heard the same thing. The only thing that wasn't shared were some of the more intimate stories that women
But
felt
you're either not getting the point or you're intentionally ignoring the point.
More comfortable sharing in a room of women.
You are intentionally trying to skirt the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is not what was said. The issue was that press was invited to attend this meeting.
We asked to bring press were invited for the entirety. I said for the forum part,
right?
Because we
press
were
invited to attend that, but
I said
you
for the
discriminated
forum
against
part
male.
because of some of the sensitive issues. We asked that you bring women to report for that part. The rest of the part, do what you want.
Right, but that's the issue here. We're not talking about messages. We're not talking about speakers.
And
we're talking about
this is uncomfortable.
We're talking about male reporters being
we're getting women
denied access.
Oh, hey, we're being rude. I'm sorry, caller.
No, I was just going to say that, but still, I mean, you're segmenting it in. But the issue really comes down to is that you excluded a member of the press because of their gender. If I showed up as a member of the press and decided to self-identify that minute as a woman and walked in, even though I've got
non-binary
female genitalia and you have no idea what my background has been and whether I would understand what you're saying or not, you would have let me in. And that to me is a double discrimination because you're it's one thing to say I want to specifically have female press, but then you're saying I'm going to have semi-male press that may be female at the time they come in. I don't really understand what you're doing.
Yeah. I think,
really
you know what? I tell you, this what we're working on here, this new next step into equality, it is going to get messy and it is going to get confusing. But you know what?
Not, and you're seeing the change. You're on the wrong side of this because
I don't think so.
People have to live in a real world and they have to earn money and they have to have jobs and you're making
no
it
one
harder
understands
for
that more
happen.
than
Not
I.
easy.
No, I don't think so. I'm actually trying to open up the doors.
For a smaller group, you're making it easier because hey, we got a question for you. What percentage, you were elected by a populace in New Bedford, what percentage of the people in New Bedford are white versus other races?
Oh, I don't even know that because you've got some people that identify.
Know that, man, before you go into 61% of your populace in New Bedford are white. The other 39%.
There are some Cape Verdeans that say they're Portuguese and say they're white, but they're not. So I don't know how those numbers are. It's what people identify as.
I tell you what, I'm going to hold this one right here. We're going to move on to another caller.
Thank you for calling. As always, a pleasure to hear your voice.
Yeah, let me move on because I want to get to another point. You're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hi, Dana.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Johnny One Note here is my name.
Johnny One Note?
And that's right. I'm Johnny One Note. I just want to let you know that I'm not a snowflake and I was not offended that you didn't want men at the women's meeting that you had. Didn't offend me one bit. And if WBSM has such a problem with you not allowing men into things, just don't invite them again. That's all I can say.
That's simply
what
I suggested from the start. If you're going to discriminate against certain members of the press corps, just don't invite the press at all. It resolves the problem, right?
In your mind, yeah. But then we're not having this conversation, and people aren't calling in, and they're not thinking, and they're not getting upset, and they're not self-examining, and we're not moving forward. Right, and we got to make ourselves uncomfortable if we're going to move forward.
Let me take a break. We'll move forward some more.
And we're going to switch spots.
All right,
and ladies and gentlemen, maybe we'll answer your calls on time.
508-996-0500, and that's the number. Barry and Dana up until 3 o'clock, so get on the line. Talk to you in just a moment. All right, welcome back. It's a Friday afternoon. It is, 2:38. In military time, it's 14:38.
And I'm still not on these dang dials,
No,
Barry.
you'll get a chance to do it tomorrow, right? You're going to be here with Brian tomorrow
Well,
morning?
I mean, here's the thing, though. I can't do 2 days, so we're going to have to figure this one out.
All right, we'll do that off the air. How's that? There's a lot of folks waiting to chat with
Yes!
you. 508-996-0500 is the phone number. Dana Rebeiro with us until 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're still talking about last week's meeting before the rally in which a couple of male reporters were not allowed access to the meeting, but yet female and non-binary reporters were. So what do you think? 508-996-0500. Thanks for hanging on. You next to WBSM.
Hi, Barry.
Hi.
I'll speak to you. I don't really want to speak to Dana. I respect the law, and I don't break the law.
Call me when she's done.
And someone who breaks the law and holds a position in New Bedford, and I love New Bedford. I grew up in New Bedford. She should be ashamed of herself. This was a liberal march against the president. There were no women's things that they can't talk in front of a man. What about having sex and whatever? Oh, come on. She should grow up, and she's an embarrassment to New Bedford.
Well, look, again, I don't know what was said at the march. I wasn't at the march. I didn't even know what was said in the meeting. None of that matters to me at all. If they want to sit and talk about Trump or abortion or Planned Parenthood, that certainly is their business and their right to do it. My only concern here is that our reporter was not allowed to cover it while other reporters were, simply because he was a male. And that is discrimination, whether you like it or you don't like it.
And that is breaking the law.
Yeah, I agree.
And BCC said that they did not realize that was going on, so she lied to them when she booked it.
I don't. Did they ask you in advance whether or not? Well, I don't imagine they asked in advance whether.
And she probably didn't divulge it.
That the men would be prohibited from the meeting.
She laughs and is so condescending. She's really pathetic.
Oh, right, thank you for that. That's really lovely. I love the sisterhood.
508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Hi, Barry. Hi, Dana.
Hi, how are you today?
Good, thanks. Listen, I voted for you, Dana. My wife voted for you. My daughter voted for you.
Did you all come to the march?
We have lost all respect for you, Dana. You used your position to go above the law. You did that. You knew you were going to do that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks for your call. 508-996-0500. Any response to that?
I don't know what to say. It was a group I organized with people. We did break down what the day would look like. I don't know if it went all the way up to the chain. But, people can think what they want. Listen, Martin Luther King's approval rating was like 30% when he did the march. When you're making change, people are going to get upset, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with it. Why are you skirting the subject here? It has nothing to do with the march. It has nothing to do with approval ratings. It has to do with sexual discrimination at the meeting prior to the march.
No, it's that.
Yes, that's what we're talking about, and you don't seem to want to acknowledge that.
Because that's not what it's about. You can make it about
That's what we're talking about.
That's what you made it about.
No, that's not what we made it about. Dana,
that's
you turned away a male reporter.
About. Who knew that we were asking women to report it?
Can't
Who knew they were talking about sensitive topics?
Then you have
who
no
has
press.
made outrageous statements before about how he agrees that rich men, famous men, can't rape women.
All right, you know what?
Yes,
Taylor's not
absolutely.
here to defend that, so I think we'll wait for that until Taylor's here and he can defend himself.
But I know what I heard.
All right, 508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Hey, Barry, and hi, Dana.
Hi.
I'm glad all the callers before me are trying to drive this point home. It really isn't just about a news media person being denied admittance. It's an illegal gathering against Massachusetts and federal law, pure and simple. Dana, what do you say to the fact that BCC says it will never do anything like this ever again? What does that mean to you?
No, I think we are having another event there at the same time next year. It might be different, but no, we are.
Barry, what essentially did BCC say?
Well, I have their statement right in front of me. It says, Bristol Community College's mission is to serve the community as a public institution where everyone is welcome and the college is accessible to all individuals without discrimination or exclusionary activities. BCC fosters an environment that is safe, supportive, respectful, and open to all. And that is from Joyce Brennan, who's the Vice President of Communications, speaking on behalf of the President, Laura Douglas.
maybe that could be clearer. It was illegal, Dana, and you're missing a teachable moment.
Actually, I think you're missing a teachable moment.
Well, explain it to us then. Why is it?
Again?
All right. Thanks for the call. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. I do appreciate, though, that you called. So, again, the whole event, the most important parts, Miss Perman and Marcy Pina, was made available for everybody. There was the first forum, that part, there were going to be things discussed that women would feel more comfortable sharing in a room of women. So that's what happened. And the whole part of that was to encourage sisterhood in New Bedford, was to talk about things that are uncomfortable and to have women feel comfortable doing it and to be able to share and to make contacts. And that's what we did. And it was awesome. And when we walked out of that room ready to march, the feeling we had was incredible.
Dana, you are incredibly spinning this, and you are intentionally missing the point. It's
not
about sisterhood or womanhood.
Yes,
or
it
what
is.
Was, no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It's about
Barry,
you discriminating
I'm telling
against
you,
their
no, Barry, you're spinning this. That's what it's about.
WBSM. No,
As
it's not.
every woman in there, that's what it's about.
It's not about
you
that
can't
at all.
define to us what we get out of it, Barry. As a man,
that's not
you
the
can't
subject.
define. You
That's
can't
not the
tell
subject.
our story. You are not going
We
to
don't
tell
want
my
to tell your story. That's not the
you
subject
are.
here.
You're telling me that that's not what it's about, and
It's
I'm
not
telling
about
you
it. It's
that's
about the
what
fact
it's
that you
about.
discriminated
Barry,
against the male reporter.
Hit another caller, because
period.
you're not going to tell me my story. Not today.
No, you're trying to define something.
Barry,
that
I
is
am.
not
I'm
even the issue that we're
defining
talking
my
about.
story, the story of the women in that room, and I have the
That's
right
not
to
what we're
do
talking
that.
about. We're
That's
talking
not
about
what
a
you're
man
talking
being
about.
denied
Barry,
access.
that's not
You're
what you're
right. That's
talking
not
about.
what I'm talking. I am talking
Fabulous,
about.
and you're
Taylor.
missing the boat. You're missing the boat, Barry.
No, I'm not.
I'm going to throw out an oar for you because you're missing the boat.
508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Dana, how you doing?
I'm great.
Great. Fantastic. As a member of the press, I was not confused as to what was being asked of us to come down there and cover the event. We were told in advance the information that you stated over and over and over, and I don't see how anyone, outside of yourself could misinterpret that information as being welcome to come to the forum portion of that event. You were very clear and concise as to what the expectation was in advance to the event. So showing up to the event, anyone who wanted to gain entrance to that of the male persuasion would have to expect that they were going to be asked to respect the initial.
That doesn't make it legal.
But let me ask you, I thank
that
you
doesn't
for
make it
saying
legal,
that as
though.
a reporter, but just as a man, do you see the value in women having some space, having their own space?
Absolutely. We've been doing it, us guys, whether it's at the pool hall, whether it's in the man cave. We've done it so we can appreciate the value that you finally have a voice now. And not that you shouldn't have always had it, but that you have a strong enough voice now where you guys can affect change in that community so that we can have the equivocal value of your input. We can have you guys alongside of us working together for the greater good. And we don't have to be in these situations where it's a us and you, we and them kind of situation.
Yeah, but isn't that what we're talking about here when you're saying we are allowed, but you are not allowed to come in and do your job?
She didn't say we weren't allowed. She said, we want to have a conversation. We want to have a private conversation, and we're letting you know this in advance.
Yeah, but that's not what she said. What she said is if you are a woman or you're a non-binary and you're a member of the press, you can come in and cover. But if you're a male member of the press, you can't come in. That is discrimination. We don't care what was discussed there. That's not the issue here. What is the issue here is that a male
that's
member
why
of
we
the
didn't
press
want
was
you in the
denied.
room, because we want people that care about it. That's why
It's
one
not
women
our job
reporters.
to care. It's our job to report. To
But
be
you
a
know
fly on
what?
the wall
That's why
and to
women
report back.
reporters are so great, because whatever women do, we care. And I don't think all men don't care. I don't think Chris Cuomo doesn't care. I don't think you, Mr. Normandin, doesn't care. I think if you have people that just go in there and punch a clock, Barry, that's something else you got to look at.
All right, appreciate your call. Let me tell you what, I appreciate your call. I'm going to grab another. We got a bunch of them here, so we want to get as many as possible. You're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you? Fall River. It's all right. No, I think some of the women that shared stories that were intimate might have felt uncomfortable because there was a guy there. Yeah. It's not about him. It's about the women in that room and their comfort level. It wasn't about him and him being comfortable or uncomfortable. It was about women being able to share stories and being comfortable doing it. Well, they were a lot of them only they stayed and they participated, but they really only started to report at the very end when we had the speakers. But the beginning part, there was like more sharing stories, and the intimate stories they didn't talk about that. No, they were just, I don't even think if they were in the room. I think they might have left and got coffee and come back. That same part, Miss Pearman and Marcy Christian Pino was repeated again after the march on the steps of the library. So there was ample time for him to get that. No, it's not about that. It's about women feeling comfortable to share their stories. And I don't want to repeat what was said because it was intimate, but yeah, for that time to share their stories with each other. Yeah.
Regarding the Boy Scouts and how they're being sued by a female because she wanted to be part of the Boy Scouts, and boys need a place of their own too. But yet, it's okay that there's a lawsuit against the Boy Scouts of America. Do you think that's wrong?
I would have just been a girl. I really didn't pay attention.
I tell you what, I'm going to hold you right there because I'm going to grab some of the calls. We got a whole bunch of folks that are waiting to talk. Let's go this way. You're next to WBSM. Go ahead.
Hi. Good afternoon, Dana. Good afternoon, Barry.
Hi.
Dana,
Hi.
I got a quick question. Just yes or no. Is it illegal to discriminate any individual based on their gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation?
You know the answer to that. That's not quick. That's not. You really don't know.
Yes and no. That was a yes or no.
I'm not answering that. What is the point you're trying to make? Because I'm not playing these games. What's the point you're trying to make?
You're not playing a game.
No, you are. You are. And you're not. You're treating me like I'm stupid. I'm an intelligent woman. Make your point, and then I'll combat it. But you're not going to sit here and talk to me like I'm a dummy.
All right, one at a time because we can't hear if you both talk.
He's not going to be condescending.
Can I talk? Thank you. All right, Dana, you have a pattern. You set a pattern of this behavior. At a meeting, I believe a couple years back at a debate, Carlos Felix Rafael was in the middle of a meeting chiming in on the back, and you jumped up in the middle of the meeting and stated you were going to escorting him.
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm talking. And...
Yeah, I was, and I'm going to tell you why. Listen, I don't need you to finish. Because you're not telling the whole story, and you're not going to misrepresent what happened.
All right, tell you what. Let's hold Carlos Rafael for another day.
And, no, but listen, that was the Mayor's Youth Council, and I'm the city councilor that worked with the Mayor's Youth Council, and he was heckling their debate. He didn't do that to anybody else, but he did it to the kids because he thought he could bully them. And yes, I did tell him that if you're not going to be respectful, he wasn't even in the debate, then you can leave, and I will do it again. Absolutely. I stand up to bullies.
This is kind of insider baseball because nobody out there knows what we're talking about. So let's stick to the topic. 508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM.
You're not going
Go
to
ahead.
treat the kids like that. Absolutely.
Hi, Dana.
Hello.
And Barry. I did go to the march. I thought it was excellent.
Thank you for coming.
I am curious about whether there was any male-female interchange and discussion. I did not go for any refreshments.
You missed
at the school.
Desserts?
It seemed too crowded with people, with the flu and all. But was there any meaningful exchange of ideas with the males at any point? And my other question would be, given all the discussion of sexual harassment and assault through the news media, could you reveal any of the subjects that were private for edification anyway, now that nobody's identified or whatever?
All All right, that leads to another question. Thanks for the call, but that leads to a question too. Why was Mr. DeBrito allowed inside during that forum?
He wasn't inside the forum. He was outside selling T-shirts.
Okay, so he wasn't actually in the forum in the room? No. Okay.
Nope. He came actually during the lunch break. I brought him sandwich and chips and a drink. And then later when we did dessert, I know dessert is a very personal decision, so I said, go in and pick your dessert.
All right, you're next on WBSM. Go ahead. What did he pick, by the way?
He actually didn't. He looked at it and he came with nothing. He said he was getting too fat.
All right, you're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
And he's not. He's in good shape.
President, some of whom we represent, for which laws they should identify as laws that are acceptable to break according to their what criteria should they be able to employ to decide which laws they should choose to break.
I think it's really sad that all these men are calling and they can't see the value of women getting together and having a space. And you're sitting there like black and white. You broke the law.
All right, hold on one second, because you're not answering his question.
It's very.
Which laws we can break.
You can't see where I'm coming from.
I don't want.
You don't want to see where I'm coming from.
I understand where you're coming from.
No, you're not. You're not. And not every man's going to get it. It's going to take some time. I didn't say all of you.
Just me.
You're on the spectrum. But I'm just saying, you're not getting it, and that's fine. I'm going to have to work with you, Barry.
Well, no, we do understand it, and this is a smoke screen,
actually. I'm not feeling it. I mean,
because we're not talking about the meeting. We're not talking about the meeting. We're not talking about the march. I understand the mayor gave a very uplifting speech at the march.
We're trying
to determine why you broke the law and why you're defending that. That's what we're trying to determine.
That's a very narrow definition, and I'm really sad that that's what you're getting out of this. But if that's what it is, that's what it is.
508-996-0500. You're next. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a female, and I feel that it was unfair.
All right, well, that's fine. I mean, there are always women. Listen, you're allowed to have your point of view. And if you did you come to the march at all?
No, but can I ask you a question? But I listened to the radio.
Why didn't you come to the march?
I heard, what was that DeBrito guy doing in there?
He wasn't, you weren't listening. He wasn't in the forum. He was outside selling T-shirts.
I heard that he was there.
No, I just asked her about it. I guess he went in for dessert.
You should have come. Then you would have seen.
I'm not into that. I'm not into all that.
All right, tell you what, I'm going to hold you right there because I've only got a couple of minutes left. You're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
I'm on the air?
Yep.
Hi.
Okay. Yes. I'm having a problem with the discussion only because it's my understanding that the press was not barred. That it was only a request that, well, women be the press.
Yeah, and I asked Taylor to please respect our privacy, and he did. He left on his own. I just said, hey, thank you for supporting us. Please support us. We need this time. We need this space.
All right, but your information is incorrect. The press, nobody said the press was barred.
You said I kicked out two guys.
I didn't say the press was barred. I said the press was welcome. But male press members were not given access. So I didn't say the press was barred.
Not to that first part of the forum, to the whole thing. Absolutely.
You're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Hi, I just called in, caught the tail end of the program, but I have a question for Dana. Hi. Why was a public building used, and was that discrimination?
Why did we rent BCC? Because of the location, because it's right near the buses, and we wanted it to be something that women of all economic standpoints could get to, and not every woman has a car in New Bedford, so sometimes they have to take the bus.
All right, what's the second part?
Is right
there.
My
question is why did BCC know that you were going to exclude men? Because I thought they came out against that because that was a public building. You may have rented it, but when you rent it, does that change it from public to private?
That's a good question. So,
I'd like to hear someone call in who knows the answer to that because as far as I know, the person who was the spokesperson from BCC said that they were not in favor of any...
Well, that was the statement that was issued after all of this controversy hit. I don't know whether anything was said prior to that. Listen, I'm going to grab one more. You're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Yes, I hope the ACLU gets involved in this because they discriminate a whole gender of people. I'm sure they don't allow men. Women wouldn't want an all-men's meeting.
I would welcome it. I think you guys need to sit down and get it together.
Well, like I said, to borrow a whole gender.
And I know
that's quite amazing. I just wanted to make that point.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
All right, appreciate it. You're up next on
Barry,
WBSM.
you're going to lead the men's meeting, and I'm going to have Manny.
I don't want a meeting.
I'm going to have you need one.
I don't want a meeting.
It's an intervention, and Manny and Mr. Normanden's going to sit down and set you straight.
All right, you're next on WBSM. Go ahead.
Hi, Dana. You know who I am. And I'm calling you out unpublicly because I think what you did was wrong.
Beth Burrell. Beth, listen,
here's the thing. No, Dana,
hold on a second. We got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
30 seconds is, I've known Beth for a long time. She told me that she doesn't really get along with women and she doesn't have any women friends, and that's why she wasn't there. So, Beth, I'm sorry you don't find value in sisterhood, but I do.
You are a public official.
I know what I am, Beth.
All right, hold on. Let her make her point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I've been watching on the YouTube channel. You're rolling your eyes when people point out that you broke the law.
Yeah, I do. My face tells the truth.
You admitted that you broke the law, and you're going to try to hold people accountable to the same standards that you...
Beth, I know you want your husband to run for Ward 4, and so you're prepping him, and you go online and make a lot of complaints about me.
That's not related to what we're
yes,
talking
it
about.
is. Yes, it is, because this is a calculated call.
We are out of time.
Beth, you're not that clever.
We're out of time.
Oh, all right.
Time goes by fast when you're having fun.
We're having fun.
See you next week.
I don't know, because I'm not getting what I need out of here, Barry.
All right.
And I'm a woman.
We may see you next week, or we may not. News is next. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'll be back next week for sure. See you later.